Every 4 years, nations rise, giants fall, and for one team, immortality is sealed. This is every single FIFA World Cup champion explained. Chapter 1, The Birth of a Dream, 1930 to 1950. 1930, the first ever World Cup. It happened in Uruguay, and here's the thing, not many European nations even showed up. Travel was expensive, long, and risky, so most of the teams came from South America. Uruguay was celebrating 100 years of independence. They had already won Olympic gold in football, and they were hosting. Naturally, they wanted to win, and they did. Uruguay beat Argentina 4-2 in the final. It was intense, with Uruguay coming from behind. That win made them the first team to lift the World Cup, and the country declared a national holiday the next day. Then came 1934, hosted by Italy. This one was political. Mussolini was in power, and he saw the World Cup as a tool to show off fascist Italy. And things got shady. Italy beat Czechoslovakia in the final, but all through the tournament there were reports of biased refereeing and pressure on opponents. Still, Italy won 2-1 in extra time. Whether fair or not, they became the second World Cup champions and the first European team to do it. Fast forward to 1938, and again, Italy wins. This time, it was in France, and yes, Mussolini was still involved. He sent a telegram to the team saying, "Win or die." Maybe he didn't mean it literally, but the pressure was real. Italy beat Hungary 4-2 in the final, becoming the first team to win back-to-back World Cups. And they did it away from home, which made it even more impressive. Then, everything stopped. World War II broke out. There were no World Cups in 1942 or 1946. Football took a backseat to war, and the world changed. When the tournament finally returned in 1950, it was in Brazil. But this one wasn't your typical knockout tournament. They did a final group stage instead. 4 teams: Brazil, Uruguay, Sweden, and Spain. So Brazil just needed a draw in the last match against Uruguay to win the title. The match was played at the Maracanã, with nearly 200,000 people watching. The atmosphere was unreal. Brazil scored first, and everyone thought it was done. But Uruguay came back. They equalized, and then Alcides Giguia scored the winner, 2-1 to Uruguay. The stadium went silent. Genuinely silent. That match is still called the Maracanazo, the Maracanã disaster. Uruguay lifted their second World Cup, and Brazil was left shattered. So in these early years, Uruguay and Italy dominated. 2 World Cups each. But more than just football, these tournaments were shaped by politics, war, and recovery. Football was finding its place on the global stage, and the World Cup was slowly becoming the most powerful force in the sport. Chapter 2, When Legends Were Born and Dynasties Took Over, 1954 to 1970. This is where football started to feel bigger. Stadiums were packed, tactics evolved, and legends began to leave their mark. We start with 1954 in Switzerland. This one's known as the Miracle of Bern. Hungary was the heavy favourite. They had the mighty Magyars, Puskás, Kocsis, Tibor. They'd beaten West Germany 8-3 in the group stage. So, when they met again in the final, everyone thought Hungary had it in the bag. But no, West Germany flipped the script. They went down 2-0 early, then came back to win 3-2. It shocked the world. That win was huge for Germany, not just in football terms, but as a moment of national pride after World War II. Hungary, that golden team, never won a World Cup, one of the best sides to never lift the trophy. Then comes 1958 in Sweden. This is where Brazil shows up, and not just to participate, but to completely change how the world viewed football. Why? 2 words: Pelé and Garrincha. Pelé was just 17 years old. Imagine that. Still a teenager, and he scored a hat-trick in the semi-final, then 2 more in the final against Sweden. Brazil won 5-2. They were elegant, exciting, and ruthless. It wasn't just a win, it was the beginning of something bigger. The era of Brazilian football was here. Next up, 1962 in Chile. Brazil won again, back-to-back titles. But this time, Pelé got injured early in the tournament. No problem, Garrincha took over. The man played like he was dancing past defenders. Brazil still dominated and beat Czechoslovakia 3-1 in the final. That's 2 World Cups in a row, and they made it look effortless. Now, 1966. England finally hosts, and yep, they win it. This is still their only World Cup to this day. The final was against West Germany, and it went to extra time. Jeff Hurst scored a hat-trick, the only one in a World Cup final. But the real debate is that second goal, the one that hit the crossbar and bounced down. Did it cross the line? England said yes, Germany said no, and the ref said goal. And that was that. They won 4-2, and every English fan since has found a way to mention it at least once in any football conversation. You'll see. Then comes 1970, and honestly, this one is special. It was held in Mexico, and it gave us arguably the greatest World Cup team of all time, Brazil. Pelé was back. Jairzinho, Tostão, Rivellino, all at their peak. Every player on that team had a role, and every attack felt like art. Brazil swept through the tournament. They beat Italy 4-1 in the final, with that iconic team goal finished by Carlos Alberto. Pelé got his third World Cup, a record that still stands. That 1970 team didn't just win, they defined what beautiful football looked like. So, from 1954 to 1970, we saw football mature. Tactics improved, styles clashed, and individual brilliance started deciding games. Germany had their miracle. Brazil built a dynasty. And England, well, they had their one shining moment. But you can see the shift happening here. It's no longer just about national pride or political influence. It's about playing the game better than anyone else. And now, it's only going to get more intense. Chapter 3, the Cold War era, where football became a battlefield. The era of the 70s and 80s. This is where football gets smarter, more tactical, and honestly, a bit more intense. Countries weren't just playing for trophies anymore, they were playing for ideologies, pride, and global bragging rights. Welcome to the Cold War of football. We begin with 1974, hosted by West Germany. And this is where the world meets total football. The Netherlands, led by Johan Cruyff, played this beautiful, fluid style where players rotated positions like they had cheat codes. It was modern, fast, and completely new. They reached the final, scored in the second minute without Germany even touching the ball, and looked like they were about to dominate. But here's the twist. Germany didn't panic. They absorbed the pressure, stuck to their plan, and came back to win 2-1. Gerd Müller scored the winner. That was West Germany's second World Cup. Efficient, ruthless, very German. Then, 1978, in Argentina. This one was messy. The host nation was under a brutal military dictatorship, and the tournament had a shadow hanging over it. But football-wise, it was Argentina's coming-out party. They had Mario Kempes, who was a beast that year, scored 6 goals, including 2 in the final against the Netherlands. Argentina won 3-1 after extra time, their first World Cup. Side note, the Netherlands lost another final. That's 2 in a row. Total football was incredible, but not quite enough to lift the trophy. Then comes 1982 in Spain. This is one of the most stacked World Cups ever. So many legendary teams and players: Italy, Brazil, West Germany, France. But in the end, it was Italy who took the crown. And the star, Paolo Rossi. The guy came back from a suspension and exploded. He scored a hat-trick against Brazil in a 3-2 classic, 2 more in the semi-final, and another in the final. Italy beat West Germany 3-1, and Rossi won the Golden Boot, Golden Ball, and the World Cup. Talk about a comeback story. Now, 1986. You already know where this is going. Mexico. And Diego Maradona decided to take the entire tournament by the throat. There were 2 moments that defined that World Cup, and they both happened in the same game against England. First, the hand of God goal. He literally punched the ball into the net and somehow got away with it. Then, just minutes later, he scored the goal of the century, dribbled past 5 players and the goalkeeper. It was unreal. Argentina went on to win the final 3-2 against West Germany. And let's be real, that tournament was all about Maradona. He wasn't just the best player, he was untouchable. Finally, in 1990, hosted again by Italy. This one wasn't pretty. Goals were rare, games were tight, and it was the first World Cup with a truly defensive tone. But the story here is about West Germany getting their revenge. They met Argentina again in the final. But this time, Maradona couldn't carry them. Argentina was tired, frustrated, and honestly a bit dirty with their tactics. West Germany won 1-0 thanks to a late penalty. It was their third World Cup, tying Brazil at the top. Also, random trivia, this was the last time we saw West Germany. After this, the country reunified. So, in a way, it was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. So, from 1974 to 1990, football turned into a battleground of brains. Styles became more defined. Total football inspired the world, but Germany's structure kept winning. Argentina brought flair and chaos. Italy mixed defense with moments of brilliance. And above all, this era gave us two of the most iconic number 10s in history, Cruyff and Maradona. Two geniuses with completely different styles, but both changed the game forever. Chapter 4. The Rise of the Modern Game. 1994 to 2010. The World Cup wasn't just a tournament anymore, it was the event. TV broadcasts went global, sponsors came flying in, and the players, they turned into superstars. From 1994 to 2010, this was football on the big stage. We kick things off with USA 1994. Yes, the US, a country where football was seen as something you play in gym class. But FIFA wanted to crack the American market, and honestly, it worked. Stadiums were full, the energy was there, and the World Cup set a new attendance record that still stands. Now the football itself. It had its moments. Brazil was solid, with a prime Romario leading the line. The final was Brazil versus Italy, and let's just say, it wasn't the most entertaining game. It ended 0-0 after extra time. The first World Cup final is to be decided by penalties. And this is where Roberto Baggio's name lives forever. He skied his penalty over the bar. The image of him walking away, hands on hips, is burned into football history. Brazil won their fourth World Cup. No Jogo Bonito this time, just grit, discipline, and a solid backline. But hey, a win's a win. Then comes France in 1998, the first 32-team World Cup. More nations, more fans, more stories, and for the first time, the host nation goes all the way. Zinedine Zidane stepped up big time. 2 headers in the final against Brazil, and just like that, France won 3-0. That final was weird, by the way. Ronaldo, Brazil's golden boy, was completely off. Rumors swirled about a seizure before the game. He was a ghost on the pitch. Brazil never really showed up, and France lifted their first ever World Cup. Huge for the country, especially with such a diverse squad. It felt like a win for modern, multicultural France. Now let's talk about 2002. This one made history. It was the first World Cup hosted in Asia by South Korea and Japan. And oh man, this tournament was chaotic. South Korea went on a giant killing run. They beat Italy and Spain to reach the semi-finals. Yes, it was controversial. Yes, the referees raised a lot of eyebrows, but still, a massive achievement. In the end, it was Brazil who took it home again. Ronaldo came back with something to prove after the '98 disaster. He shaved that weird half circle into his head and started scoring goals like a machine. He ended up with 8, including 2 in the final against Germany, which Brazil won 2-0. That gave them their 5th World Cup, still the most by any nation. And now we hit 2006 Germany. This tournament had everything. Great goals, big upsets, and of course, Zidane's headbutt. Italy and France reached the final, and it was a proper tactical battle. Zidane scored a cheeky Panenka penalty. Materazzi equalized. Then, in extra time, came the moment. Zidane, in his final ever match, turned around and headbutted Materazzi right in the chest. Red card. Game over for Zidane. The match went to penalties, and Italy won it 5-3. Fabio Cannavaro lifted the trophy, and Italy were champions for the 4th time. But let's be honest, people still talk more about the headbutt than the result. And finally, 2010, South Africa. First World Cup on African soil. The atmosphere was electric. Vuvuzelas buzzing in the background, colourful fans everywhere, and a real sense of pride across the continent. This was also Spain's era. They just won Euro 2008, and now they came into the World Cup as favourites. And true to their style, they passed their way to glory. It wasn't flashy. They won all their knockout games 1-0, but it was surgical. That Iniesta goal in the final against the Netherlands, absolute clutch moment. Spain won their first ever World Cup, and their dominance in that era was complete. Also, shout out to the Netherlands, again, losing in a final. That's 3 finals and 3 losses. At this point, the Dutch are basically the best team to never win it. So from 1994 to 2010, football went global. The stars, Ronaldo, Zidane, Ronaldinho, Iniesta, became icons. And the tournament, it turned into a cultural phenomenon. Everywhere you went, people were watching. But the next chapter, That's where it gets personal. Messi, Ronaldo, golden generations rising, others falling. Drama, redemption, heartbreak, it's all packed in the era that redefined greatness and divided fans like never before, 2010 to today. Chapter 5, Redemption Era, where legends rewrote their stories. This is the era of memes, VAR, and the eternal Messi versus Ronaldo debate. This stretch of the World Cup gave us everything. Redemption arcs, shock exits, and some of the most emotional moments football has ever seen. Let's start with 2014 Brazil. The tournament was hyped. Brazil was back on home soil, hoping to win their 6th title in front of their own fans. And things were going all right, until they weren't. You already know where this is going, Brazil versus Germany. 7-1. I mean, this was more than just a defeat. It was a national trauma. Germany was clinical. They scored 4 goals in 6 minutes. 6 minutes! The stadium went from cheering to stunned silence. Brazil didn't have Neymar injured or Thiago Silva suspended, but let's be honest, even with them, that was a collapse of epic proportions. Germany marched into the final, and there they faced Argentina with Messi. This was his moment. He had dragged Argentina through tough games, even scoring the winner in the group stage with that last-minute rocket against Iran. But in the final, it just didn't click. Mario Götze, off the bench, chested it down and volleyed in the winner in extra time. Germany took their 4th World Cup, and Argentina was left heartbroken. Messi still won the Golden Ball, but it wasn't what he wanted. You could see it in his eyes during the ceremony. He looked like he'd just lost a piece of himself. Now 2018, Russia. And this one was full of surprises. Germany, the defending champions, went out in the group stage. Yes, they finished bottom of their group. That's a pattern now. 3 of the last 4 World Cup winners, France in 2002, Italy in 2010, Germany in 2018, got knocked out in the group stage the next time. It's like winning the World Cup comes with a curse. This was also the tournament where Croatia shocked the world. Led by Luka Modric, they played with heart, intelligence, and sheer grit. They beat Argentina 3-0 in the group stage, came back from behind in multiple knockout games, and reached the final. It was a massive overachievement for a country of just 4 million people. But the story of the tournament? France. Young, fast, ruthless, Mbappe was unstoppable, scoring 4 goals, including a rocket in the final. Griezmann, Pogba, Kanté, they all clicked. France beat Croatia 4-2 in one of the most entertaining finals ever and became champions for the 2nd time. And this time, no need for extra time or penalties. They were just better. Then we arrive at 2022, Qatar, first ever Winter World Cup, first in the Middle East, a lot of controversy off the pitch, but on it, one of the most dramatic tournaments ever. Let's get straight to the final, Argentina versus France. This wasn't just a football match, it was a movie. Messi scored, Di Maria scored, Argentina were 2-0 up. And then out of nowhere, Mbappe decided, not today. He scored 2 goals in 2 minutes to level it at 2-2. Extra time. Messi again, 3-2, and then Mbappe scores a hat-trick to make it 3-3. It went to penalties, and finally, Messi lifted the World Cup. Argentina won their 3rd title, and it felt like football history had been completed. This wasn't just about Argentina, it was about Messi's legacy. After all the criticism, all the near misses, he had done it. The GOAT debate? For many people, it ended that night. And Mbappe? He became the 2nd player ever to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final, and still lost. Brutal. But you know what? He's only 24. He'll be back. So from 2014 to 2022, we saw stories of collapse, dominance, redemption, and immortality. The tournament evolved, the players evolved, and the stakes got even higher. Now, every 4 years, it feels like the whole world stops. For 90 minutes or 120, we all watch, hoping for that one magical moment. But who do you think will win the next World Cup in 2026? Well, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we make videos like this often.